When did you get in the pipe business?
So I went to an employment agency and they interviewed me for certain jobs, and I interviewed for L.B. Foster Company, and they hired me. And I had no idea what pipe was, what it was used for, and actually the first day they hired me was the first day I met Earl Cohen. On March 10th, 1969. I have known Earl longer than anyone else in the business.
Actually, we started Pioneer in 1970, late 72, and then in 73, it was really, again, a boom year because you were caught up in the Arab oil embargo, and so everything was going, fast and furious, made a lot of money, and thought, boy, this is the easiest thing we ever did. And at that point, you ended up with another downturn after that was over in 73, and so we ended up having to buy material from Marmon Keystone, Tubular Service, because they were so overstocked. So we ended up buying, and we were their main customer and started selling it out, and that's really how Pioneer got started.
Basically 4 of us in a room no bigger than this, so probably a 10 by 20 room. We borrowed coffee from the landlord until he got tired of us coming in there 62 times a day. The very beginning, we didn't have inventory. We would not have qualified for the NASPD with 500 tons of material. And I'd say it probably took us a period of 3 to 4 years to hit the 500-ton quota. Most of it was angles, channels, expanded metal, and then we'd start getting into more and more pipe as we learned that there was more margins in pipe.
I then got this idea, who knows why, that what I knew could be transferable to a new business that I could start if I just had money, which I had none of. So I made a list of people that I knew, that I'd come to know, who in my mind's eye were rich. And I did what today would be called writing a business plan. I had plenty of time since I was unemployed. He loved my idea. He was the first person on the list and the first person I talked to. He said, I'm in. Go find an office, make sure there's room for me. You and I will set up a deal and I'll fund your business for you, just like that.
I was fortunate we got the invitation, we being my uncle Milton Feinberg, and for the call that Jerry Rubenstein and Pete Knowles put out to attend an organizational meeting in San Antonio, Texas in, I believe, 1975.
Okay.
And I attended that meeting with my uncle Milton Feinberg. And so I was at the organizational meeting that we had in San Antonio. And from there, it spawned into what it is today.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of great people, a lot of not many companies at that point in time.
Right. What was there? Do you think 50?
I'm guessing maybe coast to coast. It was a different industry than it is today. Totally different.
Sure.
Pete and Jerry don't particularly care to talk too much, about things that are, business, or so they came to me and said, would you take this? I said, yeah. So I ended up the first
president.
Yeah, it wasn't really actually called that at the time, but that's what it was.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And probably the best thing that ever happened for me is that, because I quickly knew everybody.
Right.
And it was really nice and fun.
You start networking with people that you might not normally associate with or do business with, I guess.
Yep. It was an interesting, both Jerry, as I recall, and Pete sat on the board.
Yeah.
In the early days, they attended most or all of the meetings.
Right.
So, and that was the benefit of the NASPD, is we got to become friends with, or friendly with, many, many people you would otherwise not have any exposure to.
If you could go back in time, Al, and go back to the times that you started in the steel pipe business, what advice would you give yourself?
I would advise somebody to build relationships. That was important, even today, to do as much as possible to build good relationships with people, because that's who you did business with, and that's where the money was going to come from.
In all of my career, which spans a total of 68 years, I guess I have met face-to-face with less than 1% of the people I've done business with, and I've sold thousands of customers in my career.
Sure.
Build relationships on phone is different than sitting down like you and I and looking each other in the eye and shaking hands and BSing a bit. You have to do your BSing quickly because the phone is, the bill's running up.
Right.
But you build relationships, and I think has been one of the keys to my success.
Yeah.
The only thing I would share is that the pipe industry is to me like a sacred institution, and it's a very viable field to get into. The whole steel products industry is very interesting, and it's an intricate part of our American society and industries. And there's so many facets to it that you can get involved and make a good living, honorable living, and be true to your network, be true to your people, and your people and your customers are your most valuable asset.
All good advice. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. What would you tell somebody was the secret to your success in the pipe business?
Oh my goodness. The NASPD was networking before it was a term. The vision that Jerry and Pete had of bringing together these diverse guys and one lady, Dottie, to a place where they could share experiences, talk about things of common interest, and make a deal, sell some pipe, was visionary. But it was networking in its infancy. And it gets back to my previous statement, Randy, about people. Network, learn the folks, learn the players, understand the motivations for why people are at the table, and make friends. Yeah. And that will stand you in great stead.
Very good.